Okay, we are recording. Nathan, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right, mate. Where are you today?
I'm at home in Lincolnshire, so
Nice.
yeah, we're out in the sticks a little bit, which is lovely. It really well suits my brain to have a really quiet world, which is
Yeah, I
nice.
mean it's a bit of a juxtaposition with work, I guess, which is obviously the polar opposite of peace and quiet, right?
Yeah, and if I'm honest, like all of that sort of stuff, it scares the life out of me. Like the kind of hectic nature of it all. And I think there's always an expectation to be in amongst a big crowd of people in like London, Manchester, or over in the States. But it's really not just me. I just happily just sit at home working away on the piano all the time. Um, but yeah, it's really nice to kind of have that complete separation because I think I've always struggled to find that balance between switching off and always being on with work. But in the last few years, I've really worked on that difference and actually calling work, which I always used to be a bit embarrassed about. But yeah, I suppose it is work, I guess.
It's interesting you mention, the kind of allure of the creative industries having to be, London, Liverpool, Manchester.
Yeah.
And that was the very reason I set this show up like 5 years ago, was because a musician friend of mine who was very established and had, big selling records and stuff. He lived in Essex near me, and the constant conversations were like, "Oh, like when you move into London," and he's like,
Yeah,
I don't want to move to London. I like where I live. And it's like, yeah, I
yeah,
know, but like, you work in music, you got to move to London, right? And he's like, no, it's 25 minutes on a train. I'm quite cool in Essex. And it was like, but there is so much, certainly for bands and such as well, that are maybe on a sort of gig circuit. It was always, even back in the 90s when I was doing music, it was like, you got to do a showcase in London. You've
yeah.
got to play London. You've got to go to Camden and play. And it was like, and it's crazy, really. It's just, but it does feel still to this day that that is the hub of creativity, and to get known and to get seen and to, you need to be floating around Soho and all these places. And it seems in a world that's so connected now, that you're in Lincolnshire and I'm in Essex and we're having a conversation, why there is still so much attention on people having to relocate to London to make it in the creative arts.
And let's be completely honest. Obviously, between us, no one will tell our secrets. London's a really tough crowd.
Mm.
It's because it's normally full of, well, not, but like there is a percentage of label people or people that you have to invite from radio stations and TV bookers and all that sort of stuff. And they're normally just sat at the back with their arms crossed, being like, right,
They've
go on
not
then.
come for a good time.
No, no. And they kind of like there'll be part of them kind of going, I hope you're good because otherwise it's a waste of time. But equally, there is that mindset of go on then, impress me. This is
Mm.
my 20th gig of the week, so go on, stand out. And it is a bit like it's like being on like X Factor constantly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm not used to that. So I'm like, no, no, no. I was being judged by school kids on a school tour, not by label people. But yeah, it just makes it a really tough gig. And I think because there's so many different gigs happening in London all the time, I think the obviously without kind of slagging off the London crowd, there can be a little bit of that. All right, we're used to it. We get 10 of you a week.
Yeah, of course.
So they're not spoiled, but they're kind of they're constantly in the sweet shop,
Yeah.
and they can kind of cherry pick what they want. Whereas like when you kind of get out to different parts of the country, there are people who love music, um, and naturally, do you know what I mean? People love music everywhere. But like we get it up in Lincolnshire. No one ever tours in Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
And you just kind of think, well, that's quite sad because there's so many people up here who love music. And I could sit and talk to people in the coffee shop like about music for hours.
Yeah.
Have some of the best conversations. But people just don't kind of prioritize coming up here because of, I don't know, profit margins and all that sort of stuff, I guess. But
Well, we can have a nice conversation about music today,
there we
and we'll kick that off with your first track. So I'm going to ask you to tell me, please, Nathan, a song that you regard as having the greatest ever intro, please.
That I don't know why I had to look at my notes of that. It's a no-brainer for me. A Song for You by Donny Hathaway. It's it's immediate, and it's iconic as well. I think every singer tries to tackle that song to prove that they can sing, um, and nearly everyone struggles to capture. Well, I think everyone does struggle to capture what Donny Hathaway originally captured in that song. And that intro is such it gets you from the second that it starts. Yeah, I just think it's wonderful.
It's interesting that you say it grabs you from the second it starts, and you know you mentioned earlier about playing the piano. So for people that haven't heard that song, it starts with like a kind of sort of a tinkle down the ivories before it really sort of starts to get going. Um, and I wonder in 2025 um, if that kind of time before the song gets going
Mm.
is going to get entertained in the fast moving, rapid thumb switching attention spans of younger audiences now. And so, with that in mind, Nathan, I want to sort of ask you how you have seen the changes in how music's made over the years, and how you've approached this new record, you
Mm.
know, and coming from a very pop background
Yeah.
and moving to what you're doing now, like seeing the evolution of streaming services and things like TikTok being used to market music. And again, it's all very fast moving. Um, do you take on board any of them changes and evolutions in people's listening habits? And does any of that filter through into your creative process? Sorry, I've really made that a long question, but do you know
It's
what
a
I
really
mean?
interesting question, though. It's so interesting. Um, and I think kind of with such a pop background, um, and like especially with like um, Glad You Came, we started the song with the chorus, and then we kind of just essentially repeat it as many times as we could possibly get away with it. Um, and All Time Low, our first single, that had like the strings at the start that were like they were immediately kind of catchy. Um, so I think those kind of pop influences have always been there because um, people want that immediate hook on radio. But I suppose as it's changed, the songs have maybe got shorter. And even I don't know why I just thought of Kylie Minogue, can't get you out of my head, but straight in with a hook,
Yeah.
and like an all-timer hook. So I suppose those George Michael, Faith, an immediate hook, even though that song is hard, but you get these amazing pop moments, but I feel like there's a little bit less space to be creative. And I think, especially with George Michael, he had some of the most amazing intros.
Mm.
Um, and I think that would be balanced across the record, whereas now I think there's so much focus, especially artists that are signed to a major label, from the A&Rs who are probably looking more at money than they are at music, unfortunately. That they want to get TikTok and those influences, while still trying to get um, pop radio and things like that. I think for me, I think there was balance. I really wanted to explore a lot on this album, but also kind of lock down what like the upbeat side of my music sounded like. 'Cause I think on the first album, it was kind of there. There were like kind of they were like big band sonics kind of mixed in with different patterns, I guess. But we really locked in on the ballads, but the upbeats, I think, kind of looking back to criticize the first album, which isn't something that I like to do, but I am naturally like that. um, I found that we maybe didn't nail the upbeats. So I really wanted to, when approaching this album, really lock that in. And I found that kind of immediate hooks are actually quite a nice place to start. Because I suppose with upbeat records, you want you want people to feel immediately locked in, immediately happy, and something they can sing along to. So with Butterflies, my last single, it again starts with the chorus, and it's how it's presented, I guess, that's maybe changing. But yeah, I think it's kind of natural to kind of think of TikTok and stuff like that. But I don't and never have done and hopefully never will do write a song with TikTok in mind, being like, oh, this is trending at the moment.
Yeah,
So let's write a song about that.
yeah,
So I think that's where you kind of tap out with your kind of creativity maybe a little bit. But yeah, for me, I'm just yeah, yeah. I suppose it's kind of being pop aware, um, but then also kind of being true to yourself and not kind of worrying too much because I really do believe that good music finds a way.
absolutely,
It has
absolutely.
it has to for all of our sakes.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you now, Nathan, to tell me the first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
Um, Stevie Wonder, lately.
That'd do it, wouldn't it?
God, what a song. Oh, it's just it's so good. And obviously he's just incredible. And I grew up listening to Stevie Wonder and I remember I'm not an overly emotional person. I really struggle with my emotions. And I remember the first time I heard that, I was just completely kind of lost in it, and it really got me. And I was like, I can just hear the pain in his voice, and I think for me, as well as the songwriting being incredible and musically, it's incredible. The vocal delivery on it is just outstanding, and it's a really, really special record that I think gets overlooked sometimes because of Steve is obviously massive catalogue of incredible work. Um, but it's an amazing record. Um, and yeah,
If you had to pinpoint what that emotion was, what do you think it was?
uh, that I felt.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, I struggled pinpointing emotions. It felt like just like a sinking feeling within the center of my core. Um, and to be fair, I still get it when I listen to the song. There's just something that it just kind of it almost hurts like when I
Mm,
listen to it, and it's just oh my God, it just does something to me,
yeah.
and I think it's really special to have those records that you can connect to.
Mm.
I just looked over and I've got the Donny Hathaway extension of a Man final next to me, which is an amazing record and and there's a song on there that kind of gets me in a bit of a similar way. I love you more than you'll ever know. That's again another brilliant record. I may have been influenced lyrically by that song on the first album. Don't tell his estate. Um, and, so yeah, it's I think that yeah that kind of feeling and it's like that gut feeling that just makes you kind of go oh
It's like a longing, isn't it?
yeah yeah it's weird. Like what do you think?
I don't know. I think like I was lucky like you to grow up being exposed to the music of Stevie Wonder and it is something that I think it's that this question. I mean, I've asked 700 different musicians and actors this question, and it generally comes back to something in this kind of arena of what we're talking about, where maybe up until hearing that music they were exposed to might just have been as a kid like just sounds and melodies, and then all of a sudden one of one little thing in a record, whether it's Stevie Wonder's voice just feeling like his life depends on singing this song,
Yeah.
the emotion of music really resonates for the first time. And I think maybe that's what it is. And I think I don't know what the longing is for, but it feels like it's longing for something. I don't know. It's I guess that's what soul music is. I don't know. It speaks to your soul in a way that maybe, other stuff maybe doesn't. Do you know what I'm saying? I've got no
Yeah,
answers for this. But that's the magic, isn't it?
it has that's the purpose of it, I guess. It is to kind of to give you that kind of emotional feeling. And I think that's what's so wonderful about so many different genres, is that they all kind of have their own jobs
Mm,
in a strange way. And that's why I like kind of tapping into to loads of different areas and and enjoying such a variety of music. Even though so far it doesn't sound like I do. But it's yeah, I think I really kind of look for those wonderful emotional vocalists. I think because that's what I kind of look at and aspire to. I want to um, create an emotion within someone when they listen to my music, and whether that's kind of like feeling happy or kind of feeling like deeply sad or so in love and that's I want people to feel the emotions that I struggle with sometimes.
I'll ask you this then. So you wake up, right, and you're feeling pretty blue. You're having a low day, right?
Yeah.
Do you reach for the best of S Club Juniors, or are you going, "Where's that Donny Hathaway record? I need to immerse myself in some sadness and use it as a big cuddle." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think oh, S Club Juniors, great.
That's the first thing that cut my mind for something completely
Brilliant.
ridiculously joyous that
Oh,
you're never gonna get upset listening
really
to.
great. Bless them. And uh, yeah, I mean, it's you. I think you. I want that when I'm happy. I think. I want Donny Hathaway when I'm in my feels, and and I want to kind of feel something.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I think the happiness of an artist like S Club Juniors or projects like S Club Juniors. Uh, I think that would just annoy me if I
Yeah.
was like feeling sad. I'd
Yeah.
be like, oh God, couldn't life like I wish it was that easy.
Yeah.
No, it's no. Imagine to be like young and happy.
Oh God, they were the days. Um, I mean, this is obviously, we're discussing your formative years on, for the next few questions. So, um, you mentioned, being exposed to music like Stevie Wonder, and you mentioned like, you like sitting there playing the piano. Tell me about home growing up. Was it a musical environment?
Yeah, yeah, it was. My mum's a woodwind teacher. So she she took me into school with her as a newborn. Because she was like, I can't do mat leave. I'm essentially self-employed. So, let's, straight back in. So I was just kind of surrounded by people learning how to play the sax from being weeks old, which which I think kind of that's what that kind of love for that sort of sound um is kind of embedded into me. And yeah, I think I've got a very musical family on my mum's side. My dad loves to sing as well. He loves charming people on karaoke. Bless him. Uh, and so,
Charming people at karaoke is a very subtle way of handling that. That was lovely.
oh, he thinks he's so smooth, and he'll love it. and yeah, he's like the Barry White of Gloucester. Um, bless him. He's actually got a nice voice. But he kind of listens to a lot of Motown and music from that era. Um, and I think with my mum, it's kind of slightly more jazz influenced. But also my mum has like quite a love for pop music as well. I was basically brought up on Donny Osmond, which wonderfully talented artist, an iconic artist, some would say.
Do you know
But
what? Diss the
yeah.
Osmonds as much as you want, but Crazy Horses is a fucking tune, mate.
I think like you can't diss people when
Mm,
sold that many records.
mm.
But when people turn around and they'll be like, "Yeah, but it's not cool though, is it?" I'll be like, "There's everything cool about selling 50 million records. It's the coolest thing on the planet." So when people try and give like boy bands and stuff like that. And I think someone said to me once, they went, "Yeah, but One Direction's not cool." And I was like, "You're joking? They're the coolest band on the planet at the moment. Like, they can't stop selling records. They're playing stadiums. That's the coolest thing you could ever imagine." Um, so it's all like it's a mindset in it. And look, don't get me wrong. I loved my time that I got to spend with my granddad when I was younger because he was an amazing jazz musician, and he used to play for the jazz artists and stuff when they were doing the rounds. And he was such an inspiration to me. And that was really nice to have that music around me. Um, and that kind of led me to do a lot of performing as a kid and stuff like that because it was a bit of a that was kind of my escape because I was quite shy as a kid. But then as soon as I would get on stage, I'd kind of become this like, oh, this big kind of character and performer, and I think I was like, oh, where's that come from? But it was kind of deep within, I guess. And then I'd kind of the minute I step back off stage, and it's still very much the same now, I guess. And I kind of go back into being like this kind of quite shy, sensitive soul. Um, and yeah, but it was nice kind of having a really musical upbringing. It was yeah, it's really special.
Well, look, let's stay in the formative years for this one, Nathan. And I'm going to ask you to tell me the song that soundtracked your years at school, please.
Uh, Jamie Cullum. I mean, the album The Pursuit is just amazing. But Gran Torino, in particular, I I just love it. I just think it's such a wonderful record, and like weird analysis. I love the way that the piano's recorded. It just feels like you're in like, and obviously it's down to the mix and all that sort of stuff. And I know it's obviously for the film. Um, so it would have, I don't know, he probably did it at Abbey Road or something like that. So it just sounds amazing, but there is like a special kind of texture to the piano on that record, and I can't really put my finger on it. It just does something to my ear. It's amazing, and
And he
yeah,
was introducing a lot of people to jazz that had never listened to jazz records before.
absolutely. And also kind of me really. So I kind of started with Jamie Cullum, then went backwards. So I'd go after kind of listening to Jamie Cullum, I went and that's where I found Sinatra weirdly and Bobby Darin and Dean Martin and all that lot. All that lot. Um, and I think it's I think such a special thing that he's been able to do. And obviously Bublé's had a lot of success with that as well. But I think it's slightly different. I think like Bublé is
I'd say
self.
he's more of a crooner than a jazz artist. I'd definitely say Cullum's more of a jazz artist.
Oh yeah, and I think what cemented it for me is watching them both live, and you can tell that that Bublé has really studied like the greats that have come before him. And he really does. He holds them up and he celebrates them. Um, whereas I watched Jamie Cullum at Cheltenham Jazz Festival, and it was just him and a piano, and he was essentially just he was kind of like taking requests halfway through the gig. He was just amazing, and still to this day, I think it's one of the best things I've ever seen. And it was just yeah, 2 hours of him and a piano, and it was like well, he was. I was very fortunate with having good seats. It was like well, he was just sat across from me, and I was just mind blown at how somebody can be so gifted,
Yeah.
and it really stuck with me. Um, by that point, I've been a fan of his for years, like throughout school, and
Did you enjoy school?
yeah, yeah. He says confidently. I had a bit of a weird, like uh, school experience because I went to a musical theatre school from the age of 11 to 16. Um, and I don't really think I knew what I was getting myself into. Uh, I just, when I saw the audition um, in the stage, I used to buy the stage with my pocket money. And I saw the audition. I said to my mum, I said, Mum, can I do this audition? And she was like, why? She was like, you've got into a good school in the area. And I was like, yeah, but I want to see like how realistic it is. Like, I want to see where I'm at because it's all well and good kind of being good at your primary school, but it's when you've got everyone else in the country is amazing. Just wanted to see how much I needed to concentrate at school, really. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, she's let us do the audition and then got through kind of like round and like every single round and then we had a call off Sylvia saying, I want to give you full scholarship. And I was like, and she was like, well, no one's ever turned one down. So I'll see you in September. And that was it. It's like, right. I was like, what now? Um, so I went to the school and I wasn't a massive musical fan. Um, so when I got there, I was like, what is this world that I've just entered? And all the kids were in shows. Uh, and no one was ever at school really. And it was just a bit confusing. So that's when I kind of found artists like Donny Hathaway and Jamie Cullum and and artists like that. And that's where I felt a lot more comfortable. So I think a lot of the kids at school thought it was a bit weird because I wasn't kind of dancing to Hairspray in the corridor as much as that soundtrack is banging.
What did
It's
what did you want to be then? Was it theatre? Was that what you thought you wanted to do, or was it just performing music, or what was it?
I just wanted to be an artist. Yeah, I just wanted to perform. Um, and I just thought that would have been the place to kind of improve and become the artist that I wanted to be. And I think that was it built a lot of resilience because it was so kind of cutthroat at the school and all the kids were competitive in a nice way, I think, but you it's a challenge. It's not for the weak-hearted. Even as like an 11-year-old, it's you have to grow up really, really quickly. Um, and that was a bit of a struggle at times because I wasn't kind of in the kind of musical theatre clique. And when a new musical would come out, everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, the soundtrack," and I'd be like, "Right," just be sat in the corner listening to Stevie Wonder, and everyone would be like, "Oh God, is he on his own again?" Um, so I think that's where there was maybe a few challenges. But it was an amazing experience, and what I really appreciated is that Sylvia saw that, like she knew that I wasn't kind of one of maybe a typical student. Um,
So to give
uh,
this some context for listeners that may not know, Sylvia Young, I'm presuming you're talking about.
yeah,
So
yeah,
arguably, probably the best school you could go to for that,
yeah,
them
yeah,
opportunities.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was amazing. And I did learn a lot. I loved only doing like 3 days of academic studies a week. That was great. And then I just spent the other 2 days kind of singing and doing acting and stuff like that. It was great. And but I think if Sylvia hadn't has been as amazing as she was with me, I wouldn't have saw it through. Uh, she she kind of saw that that maybe wasn't my world, even though now I've grown to really love musicals. And I'll be driving from up here to London. I'll just stick a musical on and just and you know, 3 hours passes really quickly when you've got a musical on. But it's I kind of had to kind of go through it to then get to a place where I can really appreciate a musical. Um, but yeah, no, Sylvia was absolutely amazing with me, and I think she allowed me a lot more than I think other people would have done. Um, yeah, which was really great.
Tell me the first record you remember buying from a record store, please.
It was while I was at Sylvia's, and it was Boys to Men Legacy. And if that didn't really scream, I'm not here for the same reason as everyone else. Uh, and I just had it on repeat, and yeah, it just kind of it blew my mind a little bit. The the just vocal work can be so impressive. And again, it was around the time I was falling in love with the music of like Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway, and artists like that. So
You could
Boys to
see
Men,
you could see the parallels between them artists.
yeah, yeah, because I imagine they have the same influences that I do.
Were they
Um,
signed to Motown, Boys to Men?
I think so,
I think they were. Yeah.
which which was, I mean, that's yeah, they kind of redefined what they're not a boy band, but they're an all male vocal harmony group, very talented, um, and it yeah, it was really refreshing to hear something like that. I think especially at a time when I was surrounded by um I think no, I don't know. I think we're studying a chorus line at school or something like that. It was a long way from a chorus line. And I needed that. And I
Yeah.
think without finding records like that, um, I would have really struggled. But yeah, no, I bought that record in HMV in Gloucester. Um, and I think I was with my dad. And then I I just played it on repeat religiously.
You mentioned that you've got your Donny Hathaway vinyl to the side of you. Um, are record shops still places that when you're out and about and you see one, you'll go and lose yourself in there for a bit?
Yeah, it's great. And I've been obsessed with vinyls is a is a pretty recent thing, if I'm completely honest.
It's an expensive thing, I can tell you that, mate.
God, isn't it? And you kind of think what you think obviously I know why it's so expensive, but it's quite easy to kind of be like, but why is it so expensive? But you're paying for an experience. And I suppose it's kind of the difference between sitting and watching a film on Netflix and sitting and going to the cinema and getting popcorn and getting a nice drink and sitting and watching the same film, that costs more money than it does to sit at home in your pants and watch something on Netflix. But the experience, you treasure it more. Um, and I sat down I had to uh, give like a final listen to my album the other day. And honestly, like it was so special. And I just sat down and poured myself a little glass of wine. And I was like, it's the experience
Yeah.
that, don't get me wrong, I like it, it's still an expensive experience, but I think it's almost self-care in a strange way because you're taking time to yourself to really appreciate something that you love.
And that's rare in this day and age. To go back to our conversation at the beginning,
Yeah.
where everything's so rapid and fast moving, and I think to have a piece of vinyl
Mm.
and I really don't want to fall into like old bastard territory of me saying about how it was better in my day and all of that. I don't want to do that. But the things I will always say when I have these conversations with guests is pressing play on Spotify is amazing and convenient, and I do it.
Yeah,
But pulling a piece of vinyl out of its sleeve, putting it on, then sitting back and looking at the sleeve,
yeah,
and then reading the sleeve notes, and and I devour that. I'm a nerd for shit like that. But
yeah.
that's one thing that is beautiful. And the second thing I think is that we've lost now, and I know that artists are still very passionate about their album artwork. Like, I
Mm.
don't doubt that.
Yeah,
But you pick up a coffee table book of the top 100 albums sleeves of all time. There's probably nothing from the last 20 years
no.
because essentially it is on your phone,
Yeah, yeah,
whereas you've not got this 12-inch piece of square artwork that you're just going, oh my God, look how amazing that is. And I
Mm.
do think that that's something that has been lost over time, that impact of the album artwork when you've got it tangible in your own hands. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. And I think people maybe don't have to think about it as much now,
Mm.
uh, where it used to be such a big part of the campaign.
Yeah,
Uh, and it's, yeah, you're right. It's, it's, I think also a chance for the listener to familiarize themselves with writers and producers as well. And I think that's really important, seeing the names underneath and reading about these people. And then seeing the same producer on a different record that you're like, ah, right. And you start connecting the dots with their work. Um, and I don't think you get that as much with Spotify. Like
that's a great shout. That's such a great
like
shout.
if I could make one change to Spotify, it would be to kind of have like where you can click through into credits and things like that. You can click through to the producers and all of their work kind of comes up, and then you can almost rightly so see writers, producers as importantly as the artist.
Mm.
Because I think we're very much in a world with everything's disposable and everything's got to be quick. But I really think we're kind of losing the appreciation for the people that make things. And I think that would be amazing to get back. And I don't think it would be a massive change to the system for Spotify to do. I just think it's just and not just Spotify, I mean all the other streaming apps as well.
Mm.
It's just it's like a it just needs a move of intent
There
to
can't be a negative side to doing that, surely. I mean, it's just a really good and positive thing to do, I think.
yeah. And I think obviously they've got the kind of the playlist where they kind of
Mm.
put written by and all this sort of stuff, and you think, yeah, yeah, great. But it would be great to give people a profile and be
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
work comes out, they can kind of celebrate their own work like they deserve to be celebrated. Uh,
Absolutely.
I think that's what's so good about the vinyl records. I was just looking down. I've got what is it? It's oh, it's cool. It's It's an original Disney Jungle Book vinyl.
Right.
Oh, it's so cool. But I'm just looking down. It's got everything you need down there. And it, because it's from, well, I don't know the year off the top of my head when Jungle Book was out. Um,
Got to be late. It's got to be early 50s, maybe.
is it that long ago?
Possibly.
Wow.
Possibly. Oh no, it was colour. Oh, I don't know. I reckon 50s, late 50s.
Amazing. It's just it's so musically it's such an
Mm.
amazing soundtrack.
That's
So
how I discovered who Cab Calloway was.
really,
Like, yeah, I was just like, oh, right, through Jungle Book, and then the film Blues Brothers. It was like, yeah, and I love that. I love that about being young and discovering who these people are through whatever means, and yeah, and finding things out, and then finding out who these people are and how legendary they are in fields outside of singing that one song on the Jungle Book. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a gateway, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what we're kind of losing a little bit
Mm,
because, like you said before, like people only listen to 10 seconds of a song and they're swiping now.
mm.
Um, so there's almost like such a race to kind of get people's attention for such a little amount of time. And there's so much competition with everyone else to take up a tiny part of people's brain that the people who help make that and create that art are forgotten. It's almost like walking around a museum with a load of different art, but not crediting the the artists.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely,
it would just be
absolutely.
just a kind of a wall of color, and you just be like, all right, cool, next,
Yeah,
because you can't learn about people. And I think that um, that celebration, I think, of artists, I think is a bit of a disappearing um, uh, I don't know what the word is, a disappearing part of
thing.
society, maybe. Yeah, I guess it's mad, isn't it? It's
Well,
yeah.
let's get your next track, and I'll be DJing in my club tonight, and I think what I'm going to do tonight, every time I put a new record on, I'm just going to stop it for 5 seconds, grab the microphone, and explain to all the young clubbers who Berry Gordy produced this record. You know who he is, right? Well, stick it back, 'cause I'm going to play another one that he produced a bit later on, and let me tell you about Brian Eno.
Uh,
But for the purposes of that segment, we can segue into the song that soundtrack your year's clubbing, please, Nathan.
and it's basic, but we found love, Rihanna and Calvin. It was just everywhere, and I think this shows two things. One, I'm not as old as I feel. Although I was when I saw the year that it released. I was like, okay, yeah, all right, and that's quite a while ago. Um, and also that I wasn't a proper clubber. I yeah, that I think what like I was saying before, like the big spaces and kind of big crowded areas scare the life out of me a little bit. Um, so it wasn't kind of a massive part of my world. And I think when I was in the band, the first couple of years when we were UK based mostly, it was for me between the age of 16 and 18, and the other guys were mostly 21 and Jay was 19. So
That's
they,
incredibly young, isn't it?
yeah, and look, really looking back, I think it was a bit too young, and I'm not sure that it's fully safe for young people to be put in that sort of situation, and I think it can be quite dangerous.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think labels will treat you like adults. I think especially in the band that I was in, because there were three of the guys were 21, we were all treated like we were 21. And I don't think there was anyone checking in and kind of making sure that I was okay.
Look, I know that's only 5 years, but that 5 years is 20 years when you're looking at 16 to 21. Do you know what I mean? They're your real formative years of working at. who the fucking hell you are. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
like, and if you're thrust into a completely bananas world, if we can call it
Yeah.
that, then you've got to navigate your way through that whilst trying to navigate your way through who you think you are. Like that's a tough time, right?
Yeah, and I didn't have a clue who I was. I was fresh out of stage school, or theatre school. Sorry, Sylvia would kill me for saying that. And then I wanted to go to normal school, so I did a couple of weeks at a sixth form college, um, and then I'd call off Universal. Um, so that stopped quite quickly. I did um, decide to continue doing that year um, of like my AS levels, and I was collecting coursework, going from school to school, doing the school tour. So I was very much in that like world still. I was still very much spending most of my time doing schoolwork, and the other guys were off out, kind of getting to know each other and forming relationships and enjoying themselves and going out clubbing till 4 o'clock in the morning, and then turning up and doing a school assembly at 8 o'clock. Um, so that's where there was challenges, I guess. Um, and then we moved into a house. I was 16, so it was like immediately kind of having to grow up really quickly. Um, yeah, and there were some strange kind of choices, I think, looking back by the people that were, I suppose, looking after us. Um, and and I think I was put in some quite kind of vulnerable positions. Um, but yeah, I think if I was heading up a record label, I'm not sure I'd be looking to sign an artist that was 16.
Yeah,
Because you want them to develop musically as well. And obviously when you've got a kid that you're putting in a boy band, it's slightly different because you can mold them and they just you can kind of give them the songs to sing. But that's almost what made me so vulnerable. That I was still at an age where I was still figuring things out, and they were like, "Oh, great! This is an opportunity where we can make him exactly who we want him to be." And it doesn't really matter if musically he's kind of settled on what artist he wants to be because he's just going to sing the songs that we want him to. Um, so that was a bit of a tough adjustment, but I don't think I really realized it was tough at the time. It's kind of looking back and taking time to figure all that out. That that's what you look at. You kind of go, "Oh, yeah, maybe I could have done things differently."
sure.
Or they could have done actually, yeah, no, they could have done things differently, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think kind of when I was 18, I remember I was really happy because I was like, great, I can go out with the guys now. And then about 2 weeks later, we got called into the office and they were like, right, so glad you came. It's just about to go mental in America. So you're off there. So I got there and I
21 out there, isn't it?
was 21. So I then spent the next 3 years sat in hotel rooms bored. Well, they all went out and obviously they're really strict about like IDs and stuff like that out there. Um, so whereas like they tried to sneak me into clubs in London, um, I think my face ended up on quite a few doors actually being like, do not let this guy in, he's 17. Um, over there, like they tried getting us a fake ID and stuff like that, and I just looked too young, and they would just like walk up and they'd be like, sod off, come on, mate. Um, so again, everyone was bonding and they were in their kind of mid 20s by then, and I was approaching 21, and I finally turned 21, and the last gig we did together uh, was 2 weeks after my 21st birthday. No, it wasn't. It was 10 days after my 21st birthday. So, and that was it really after that. So that
Well, at
was
least you had 2 weeks of.
miserable because we were at the end of our tethers with each other. So we'd all kind of checked out by then. So it was yeah, it was a bit mad for kind of various different reasons. I think everyone was so tired because we'd done so much together. But I was like, yeah, great. I can finally build relationships. And I was like, yeah, too late for that. That's Yeah, that ship sailed, which was sad, really. But yeah, so I didn't really get a chance to kind of do the clubbing before the age of 21. I then went absolutely mad for a couple of years, um, because I just felt like it was the right thing to do.
Hmm.
Um, but I always felt like I had to be a little bit careful because people would be like, "Isn't that guy that sang this song?" So yeah, it was a strange experience. But yeah, so it's quite a basic track. Not that it's a basic track, but it's kind of a
It's a
predictable,
banger. Yeah.
amazing record. Um,
Well, look, let's take you home now from clubbing, and I'm going to take you back to your hometown and ask you to tell me a favourite track from an artist from your home county, please.
well, I've got two because I'm kind of split between two places now. So I've got Gloucestershire, um, and FK Twigs, um, and probably my favorite track of hers is 2 weeks. Um, Brilliant record, brilliant artist. She's the most incredible performer,
Mm.
um, and I actually grew up with her, which was
Oh, really?
yeah, it was pretty mad. Yeah, we went to the same dance school when I was a kid, um, and she was always like a few years older than me. So I was there from probably like, well, I was there from probably like 6 till I was like 10, probably 11 till I went Sylvia's. Um, and she was a couple of years ahead of me. I remember always had like a massive crush on her. I was just like, you're amazing. And
You weren't
then,
wrong. She is amazing.
oh, she's
Absolutely amazing.
absolutely incredible. And she's so gifted. And I remember I was sat with someone from, I'm not going to say who, I was sat with someone from like, let's say pop radio. Um, and, and, um, and we're sat there having a drink and I bump into her and I was like, oh, let's introduce you. And they were talking about her music and the way she described it, it was like the funniest thing to me because she really didn't care who this person was. He was sat at um like a big radio station and stuff like that. Because she's like, I'm such an artist that my music just does its own kind of
Yeah.
its own thing. And that's
It's
it.
so rare, isn't it, to get
Oh,
yourself in that position?
it's so inspiring. And I was like, I need to be more like that because I I used to really care what people thought, and I'd always try and please people with what I say. And when she just described, I'm not going to say what she said, but it was quite early on in her career. It was around the time of 2 weeks, um, when she was describing like the sonics of her music. It was so special, and I was like, oh, this is like a generational like artist here. Um, and it was really amazing to see the person that I used to kind of watch with an open mouth as a kid, just being like, "Oh, you're incredible," turn into the most inspiring artist who was so headstrong in knowing exactly who they were, and that's obviously only continued,
Yeah.
only continued to grow into the most wonderful, unique artist, um, who's a really, really special writer, performer, visionary, and vocalist as well. Um, so yeah, I'd say FK Twigs and yeah, 2 weeks, and then because I'm up in Lincolnshire, we're not too far away from Bernie Taupin up here.
He knows his way around the hit, doesn't he?
He's had a couple. So I was going to say I could name one, but I don't really
Blame
need to.
Bertie.
Don't need to. The list just goes on, doesn't it? It that was weirdly one of my attractions for moving to Lincolnshire. I was like, I wonder if I could just like accidentally sit next to him in a coffee shop and just get chatting. And like I'm not like stalking him.
Yeah.
I didn't move here
I know
just
you said that your photo up in nightclubs, but then they got to be like coffee shops right the way across Lincoln.
be careful. He
Yeah.
wants to talk about music, but not about his own. Just everyone else's. But yeah, so yeah, apparently, obviously, without saying where he lives, apparently he lives up here. And yeah, very much knows his way around a hit record or two, like you say. So it's yeah, but what would be my favorite?
Come on,
Uh,
I'm going to press you to give us one.
I actually, I can't. I'd be doing all the others a disservice. Um, but yeah, just wonderful, wonderful.
Fast or slow?
Slow.
Yeah,
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 I'm a sucker for a ballad.
yeah.
And yeah, just brilliant.
Are you familiar with Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters?
Yeah,
Oh, does it for me.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And that's it. Yeah, like it's the creativity as well that it's there's a some such an art form, and it is so difficult to be truly unique, but that's really achieved.
yeah. It's mad, isn't it, when like the fact that Lennon found McCartney and that Elton John found like Bernie Taupin, how these insanely talented people somehow find themselves together.
That
Like,
madness.
you just think like, how does it work?
Yeah.
Karen Carpenter just so happens to have another insanely talented brother in the carpet, and then you've got the Carpenters. It's like just yeah, it's just insane, absolutely insane and I don't know what magic happens to put these people like Elton John and Bernie Taupin together, but whatever forces it are, then yeah, it's special, absolutely special.
And obviously, like we kind of hear about how they find each other, and a lot of it is romanticized, probably because it makes a great story. Um, but I do wonder if it is that simple, and it just happens sometimes. And I suppose when you're with people that are incredibly talented, like I found it when I've been writing this last album, and there's only been a few of us. There's only been, I think, three or four of us across the whole record. Um, and
Who
working,
have you been working on? Who have you been working with?
I've been working with David Snedden, who is an amazing, amazing artist and the most incredible songwriter. And I've been working with Dave for about 8 years. No, maybe longer, 10 years.
Yeah,
And he really helped me kind of get through that patch after the first album where I was like, yeah, no, like let's figure it out. We wrote another
yeah,
album that I then consequently got rid of to do the reunion tour for Tom um, with the band. And then started again on this album with Dave. Yeah, he's just amazing, and kind of more importantly, he's the most amazing person you can ever wish to meet, and he really brings the best out of you. And he introduced me to Toby Tripp, who's produced the album, and obviously written on it as well. And then Theo Hutchcraft, who is well, he's I suppose his day job is he's Hertz, isn't he?
hurts. Yeah,
Um, Again, he's a bonkers writer.
yeah.
He,
You shouldn't be allowed to look that cool, be that handsome, and write songs like he writes, and front hurts. It's not fair. People shouldn't be allowed to do that.
it's disgusting, and I hate. And it's what really bothered me, like because I was a big fan of the band. Like that
Crazy man.
first album, my God, I had it on repeat like obsessively.
When I first heard Wonderful Life and then I saw them, I'm like, I grew up in the late 80s, like listening to Pet Shop Boys and Erasure and these synth pop duos. And then I'm like, oh, there's a new one now that looks so cool and are making amazing synth pop music and it's dark and it's amazing. Yeah,
And and like vocally, it's so good as well. It's like
yeah,
it's interesting. And they had a stay on that album as well. What a brilliant record that is! It's just
yeah.
so impressive. Um, So I was a massive fan of that record. So when they wanted to bring him in, I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to be. I might be a bit weird. Um, but he came in and I was like, what's bothering me about him? There's something that's really kind of not sitting right. And and then it hit me one day, everything about him is mannerisms, like the way he talks, the way he sits, is like a carbon copy of my soon-to-be father-in-law. Um, Honestly, it's uncanny, and like he's bloody really tall as well, and yeah, my future father, he's 6'6", and like I was like, oh my God, they're the same person. It scared the life out of me. I was like, this is terrifying,
Yeah.
but within that, it
Is that as
actually.
terrifying as having a 6'6" father-in-law? I mean, that's quite worrying. Got to behave yourself, mate.
Well, I'm not best at all. And what like like when Char wanted to introduce me to him, I said, yeah, yeah, fine, but we're doing it on neutral grounds. So we went to a garden centre for coffee. And I remember just he got up to say hello, and my God, and I nearly broke my neck. And I just had coffee trembling. But
Wonderful.
we then kind of shared our bonded over our love of football, and that's a couple of times a week event now. So he's one of my best mates. So it's turned into a blessing. And to be fair, it actually really helped me kind of bond with Theo, because I was like, oh, you know what, you just like Con.
Yeah.
So it's sound. And that was really nice to have that kind of. I was like, oh no, you're not this kind of like big, scary, amazing artist that I think is wonderful. I was like, oh no, you're just from. I think he's from Blackburn,
Mm.
which is far away from where my partner's family's from. So yeah, but they're kind of the core of the album. And then I had another guy, Anu, who produced one of the tracks. And and yeah, I think when you're like kind of going back to that point of like being a magnet, um, when when you've got so many talented people in one place, it kind of just ignites something. And I think what was really special about the group that we had is that all kind of preciousness, and there wasn't any ego in the room at all, and kind of no idea was a bad idea, and we just wrote with complete freedom. And I didn't know what I was going to write at that point. I didn't know what I wanted it to sound like. I had ideas, but I wasn't like, it has to sound like this. I was like, let's just write and be completely free for the first time in my career. And it was such a joyful experience, even though it was kind of a really difficult time, because it was just after Tom had passed when we started writing the album. Um, that it was so freeing to not have kind of labels and marketing people telling you who they wanted you to be for the first
Yeah.
time. It's nice.
It's your last track, Nathan, and this is where you get to turn the listeners of this show onto something new. And I'm going to ask you to tell me a track that you think many may not know that you would like them to hear, please.
It's by a wonderful artist called Smokey Norfolk, and the track is called "Run Till I Finish." And it's a it's a it's kind of like the top of the mountain for vocalists, and the delivery is sensational. The vocal technique and performance is very, very, very special. Um, and there's something within it, and it's a gospel track, but kind of delivered as a piano ballad. Um, there's something so beautiful in it and inspiring. And I think for me, I I consistently, I think it's the giveaway, I suppose, in the tracks that I've chosen. I look for incredible vocalists,
Yeah.
uh, and Smoking Awful is very much one of those. Um, and his kind of commitment to the vocal is, yeah, it's very, very special. Um,
Well, we make it nice and easy for the listeners of this show to go and hear that, because we're going to put together a little Spotify playlist of all the songs that we've spoken about today. And Nathan, of course, we'll put some of your music on there as well. And whilst we've been banging on about all these other incredible records, we need to bring everyone up to speed with exactly what's happening with your record. So, singles out, and the
Yeah.
album is out.
On October 17th, which is, yeah, it's all the usual marketing stuff available to pre-order now and all that sort of stuff. And it's, yeah, I think for me, it's like the most authentic I've ever been able to be. Because I've done a lot of work to try and figure out who the hell I am, because I lost so much of that time to figure that out. So I've actually figured out who I am, which is quite nice. And it's allowed me to have like lovely conversations like this, because I wouldn't have been able to do this 5 years ago. Um, and it's been a real kind of journey. And I think this album has very much set me up for the rest of my career, and I think one that I'll continue to look back at. And yeah, I'm really proud of it. So yeah, if people can give it a listen, I'd really appreciate it.
And what about if I want to come and watch you? Is there going to be some live?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, here we go. This is a test. I'm playing London and Manchester at the end of October. I think 29th and 30th. He said,
Two
"Come."
dates. That's all you got to remember. Come on, two dates.
Honestly, I was just like, I was like, you know what? I don't even need to think about me. I'm thinking about everyone else. Yeah. So I think we're playing the Deaf Institute in Manchester,
Oh,
which
what
is
a venue.
a venue. I've never played it before, but I'm so excited. I've been there a few times. It's just, oh, I can't wait. And we're playing the O2 Academy in Islington, which is my biggest solo show um, that I've done, which is a bit terrifying. I didn't think we'd be doing something that size this soon, and I'm kind of yeah, I'm really excited about it, if I'm honest. Yeah, it's there's a lot of um, yeah, there's a lot of kind of yeah, there's a lot of vocals going on. So yeah, I don't like to mess about. Oh, I do like to mess about. I like to have fun. And and yeah, I kind of it's where I feel happiest on stage, and and it's something that I really hope that I'm lucky enough to do for the rest of my life, because it's something that brings me so much joy. And I hope that I can I can give that to people through music, and yeah, I think yeah, yeah, I'm really proud of it. So
And if these people want to keep up to speed with release dates, tour dates, and all things Nathan, where's the best place to do that, mate?
oh, I don't have a clue. No, I've got a a website. Website. Do we have websites anymore?
You're
Like,
going to start saying www as well in a minute, aren't you? Come on, you're meant to
nearly
be
did.
down with the kids.
I nearly did. Just go on me TikTok. I'm never on there. So yeah, no, Instagram and can we still call it Twitter, or am I going to sound like I'm 75?
You call it Twitter. But I
Yeah.
am nearly 75, so yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, just Instagram, Facebook, and website, and all that sort of stuff. I think it'll take you to all the right places, and I think I've even got a mailing list, which is like I'm not technical enough to know anything about that.
Yeah.
Uh,
But you got one, though.
Apparently, yeah, and
Yeah.
people get like updates and stuff as well, which is great. I'm really bad at technical stuff, which is why I'm so glad that I've got a wonderful management team who are really great at that, because they're
Yeah.
like you do know that you need to start posting more on social media because you do actually need to sell this record. I'm like, well, yeah, to be fair, that's a pretty good point.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's it's really nice though, because when I look back at the record, I would love as many people as possible to hear it because I'm so proud of it. And it's yeah, I think I would ask anyone listening to it to listen to it without any kind of pre-existing thoughts of what they're going to get on the album. And yeah, really listen to it with um, non-judgmental ears. That yeah, if you think you're getting a kind of a, if you have a certain idea of what you think you're going to experience, then it's not that.
I mean, there's a challenge right there, isn't it? That's a challenge. So you've got to go and listen to it now. Um, yeah, and so well, look, we'll make it super easy. If it's cool with you, then we'll tag you in all of this when it comes out on our socials. So if people aren't following you already, we'll make it nice and easy for them to do so. And Nathan, honestly, mate, like I normally finish these podcasts in like about 40 minutes, and we've been going for an hour and 15, and it's been an absolute delight, mate. It's
Oh,
been
thank
lovely. It's been really nice, like chatting, and
you so much.
yeah, it's been a real privilege, mate. So I'm gonna press stop, but don't go anywhere.
Thank you so much for having me.